Greetings to our respected seniors and listeners joining us today. If there is one truth Americans tend to face directly, without avoiding or softening it, it is this. People rarely lose their health because of one dramatic event. More often, they decline because of small things repeated day after day. And among all those small things, daily meals are the most dangerous, not because they are toxic, but because they are familiar. Many older adults say with confidence, "I don't eat junk food. I don't drink much alcohol. I eat regularly every day." On the surface, these sound like reassuring answers. But in the United States, geriatric specialists warn of a very different reality. Most years of life are not lost to sudden illness, but slowly eroded by eating habits that seem harmless and persist for decades. No one gets sick after a single meal. No one collapses because of one bowl of canned soup. No one loses their memory from one rushed meal eaten just to get it over with. But when nutrient-poor meals repeat day after day, when the body grows older while eating habits remain frozen in time, unchanged from 30 years ago, the damage begins quietly. Americans call this aging by neglect. In older age, the body no longer tolerates mistakes the way it once did. Every small dietary imbalance leaves a trace. Muscle loss happens slowly. Memory fades without noise. Blood pressure rises without pain. Kidneys weaken without clear warning signs. And then one day, people ask themselves, why did I become weak so quickly? From the very direct American perspective, the answer is not age itself. The answer is sitting on the dining table every single day. This video is not meant to frighten you. It does not call for extreme changes or radical diets. Our purpose is simply to help you re-examine eating habits that have become so familiar to no one questions them anymore, and to understand that familiarity itself can be the greatest danger in older age. If you are asking yourself whether the foods you eat every day are truly suited to an aging body, whether the sense of safety you trust might be quietly making you weaker, or whether habits that seem healthy could actually be shortening the number of strong, independent years you have left, then comment number 1 below to follow this video through to the end. Because sometimes, changing the way we look at a single daily meal is enough to preserve many more years of health, clarity, and independence for ourselves. Eating enough, but no longer enough for an aging body. From the American perspective, one of the most dangerous misunderstandings of old age is the belief, I still eat 3 meals a day, so I must be fine. It sounds reasonable, but geriatric medicine in the United States makes one thing very clear. Eating enough meals does not mean you are nourishing your body adequately. When we are young, the body has a remarkable ability to compensate. A nutritionally poor meal today can be made up for tomorrow. A period of inadequate eating can be corrected when circumstances improve. But once we reach older age, the body no longer has reserves to fall back on. At this stage, every meal is no longer just a source of energy. It becomes a direct lifeline for muscles, the brain, the heart, and the immune system. Many older adults in the U.S. still eat until they feel full, but their meals are dominated by refined carbohydrates. White bread, pasta, mashed potatoes, processed cereals. These foods are easy to chew, easy to digest, familiar, and they create a quick sense of fullness. But that fullness satisfies the stomach, not the cells. The body receives very little high-quality protein, very little fiber, and far too few essential micronutrients needed to maintain strength, clarity, and resilience. The consequences unfold quietly. Muscle mass declines, while body weight stays the same. Older adults may not look thin, yet they grow weaker month by month. Climbing stairs becomes harder. Walking at a normal pace becomes exhausting. Standing for long periods affects balance. In the United States, this condition is known as sarcopenic obesity. Being overweight yet physically depleted, a particularly dangerous state because it hides the body's true decline behind a stable appearance. Protein deficiency does not cause immediate pain. A lack of fiber does not send someone to the hospital within a week. But over time, these deficiencies weaken the immune system, slow wound healing, and drastically reduce the body's ability to recover from illness. A simple flu, a minor fall, or a short hospitalization can trigger a chain of health deterioration that an older body can no longer fully reverse. Americans approach this issue with blunt realism. Aging does not require eating more, but it absolutely requires eating with greater precision. Every meal must serve a purpose to sustain muscle, support the brain, and preserve independence. When meals are eaten merely to get through the day, they quietly take years off a person's healthy lifespan. The most dangerous part is that most older adults never realize this is happening. They do not feel that they are eating incorrectly. They only feel that they are aging faster than expected. And by the time the connection becomes clear, the body has already lost too much things that can never be fully regained. Senior-friendly foods. The easier they are to eat, the faster the body loses strength. In the United States, there is a clear but rarely acknowledged paradox. Many foods designed to be senior-friendly are quietly accelerating physical decline in older adults. They are marketed as softer, easier to chew, easier to digest, and safer. But American geriatric medicine issues a blunt warning: what is too easy for the mouth often makes the body lazy. As food becomes softer and more processed, the entire chewing, swallowing, and digestive system begins to lose its role. Jaw muscles weaken, swallowing reflexes dull. The stomach produces fewer digestive enzymes. Intestinal movement slows. The body learns to conserve energy by reducing function. And as function declines, nutrient absorption drops as well, even when the amount of food consumed does not. Americans describe this principle simply as use it or lose it. The human body, especially in older age, must be gently activated every day to remain functional. When everything is pre-prepared, blended, overly refined, and made effortless, the digestive system is no longer challenged, and without challenge, it weakens rapidly. Another overlooked consequence is that convenience foods are almost always highly processed. They contain very little natural fiber, minimal structural texture, and often hidden preservatives, excess sodium, or added sugars to maintain flavor. Older adults may find these foods comfortable to eat, but their cells are not truly nourished. This creates a common pattern in American senior life: feeding the stomach while quietly starving the body. More concerning still, once older adults become accustomed to overly soft, overly easy foods, they gradually lose the ability to return to more natural eating. Whole fruits become difficult to chew. Vegetables with natural crunch are labeled hard to eat. Meat that requires chewing is eliminated. Meals lose structure, lose biological stimulation, and lose their ability to sustain vitality. From the American point of view, caring for older adults does not mean making everything as easy as possible. It means helping them preserve as much natural function as they can. A proper meal does not need to be complicated, but it must be real enough to keep the body working, responding, and living up to its remaining capacity. Ultra-convenient foods do not kill instantly, but they train the body to surrender one small function at a time. And in old age, every surrendered function is a step closer to dependency and physical collapse. That is why the things most often labeled good for seniors are sometimes the very things seniors need to question first and early. Senior-friendly foods. The easier they are to eat, the easier strength is lost. In the United States, there is a clear paradox that many older adults rarely notice. Foods designed to be senior-friendly are often the very foods that accelerate physical decline. They are marketed as softer, easier to chew, easier to digest, and safer. But American geriatric medicine offers a blunt warning: what is too easy for the mouth often makes the body weaker. As food becomes softer and more processed, the entire chewing, swallowing, digestive system slowly loses its role. Jaw muscles weaken, swallowing reflexes dull, the stomach releases fewer enzymes. Intestinal movement slows. The body adapts by conserving energy through reduced function. And when function declines, nutrient absorption declines as well, even when people are eating the same amount or more. Americans describe this with a simple phrase: use it or lose it. The human body, especially in older age, must be gently activated every day to stay alive in a meaningful way. When everything is pre-made, blended, and excessively refined, the digestive system is no longer challenged, and without challenge, it weakens rapidly. Another overlooked issue is that convenience foods are almost always highly processed. They contain very little natural fiber, very little structural texture, and often rely on hidden preservatives, excess sodium, or added sugars to maintain flavor. Older adults may feel comfortable eating them, but their cells are not truly nourished. This creates a common pattern in American senior life: feeding the stomach while quietly starving the body. Even more concerning, once people become accustomed to overly soft, overly easy foods, they gradually lose the ability to return to natural eating. Whole fruits become difficult to chew. Vegetables with natural crunch are labeled too hard. Meat that requires chewing disappears from the plate. Meals lose structure, lose biological stimulation, and lose the power to sustain vitality. From the American perspective, caring for older adults does not mean making everything as easy as possible. It means helping them preserve as much natural function as they can. A proper meal does not need to be complicated, but it must be real enough to keep the body working, responding, and living up to its remaining capacity. Ultra-convenient foods do not cause immediate harm, but they quietly teach the body to surrender one function at a time. And in old age, every surrendered function brings a person one step closer to dependence and physical collapse. This is why the things most often labeled good for seniors are sometimes the very things seniors need to question first. If this perspective resonates with you, comment number 1 below to continue following this video. And if you or someone you love has relied heavily on easy foods without realizing their hidden cost, comment number 0, because awareness is the first step toward protecting strength, independence, and dignity in later life. Hidden salt, the kind that doesn't taste salty but shortens seniors' lives. If you ask older adults in the United States whether they eat salty foods, most will answer confidently, "No, I eat very lightly." But American cardiologists and kidney specialists respond with a colder truth. Seniors don't die from salt that tastes salty, they die from salt they can't taste. Americans may not sprinkle much salt on the table like some other cultures, but they consume extremely high levels of sodium every day from foods that seem harmless. Canned soups, salad dressings, deli meats, processed cheese, frozen meals, bread, and even products labeled healthy. The salt isn't on the tongue, it's buried deep inside the recipe. The most dangerous thing about hidden salt is that it doesn't trigger alarm. Older adults don't feel an intense salty taste. They don't become immediately thirsty. They don't feel pain right away. But inside the body, tiny blood vessels are being forced to constrict day after day. Pressure inside the vessel walls rises slowly. The kidneys are pushed to filter beyond their capacity. The brain receives weaker signals as blood flow becomes less smooth and less reliable. American medicine refers to this as chronic, symptomless damage, the most dangerous kind of damage there is. There are no warning bells, no sharp pain, just gradual decline until one day a small event occurs. A mild stroke, kidney failure, heart failure, or a sudden fall caused by dizziness. What makes this especially troubling is that many older adults still believe, "I don't eat salty food, so I'm safe." But real-world data in the U.S. shows that just 2 industrially prepared meals a day can push sodium intake far beyond the safe limit for seniors. And this doesn't happen for a week or a month, it happens for decades. Americans are very practical when they talk about longevity. It's not how much salt you eat in one day that matters, it's how long you've forced your blood vessels to endure the excess. In older age, blood vessels are no longer elastic. Kidneys no longer self-regulate as powerfully. Every extra gram of sodium leaves a lasting mark. Hidden salt doesn't kill seniors instantly, but it takes away stability, it takes away independence, it takes away the final years of healthy life. And the most painful part is this: it does all of that while people still believe they are eating normally. If what you've just heard feels familiar in your daily meals, comment number 1 below to continue following this video and better understand habits that seem safe but directly affect longevity. And if you'd like to share your thoughts, your experience, or simply mark the moment you've started rethinking your own eating habits, comment number 0, because that awareness may be the first step toward preserving many more healthy years for yourself. Drinking less water to make life easier, a habit that accelerates aging. In the daily lives of older adults in the United States, there is a habit that is extremely common, yet rarely spoken about openly: deliberately drinking less water to avoid inconvenience. Many seniors limit their fluid intake because they fear frequent bathroom trips, waking up at night, or feeling uncomfortable when they go out. From a lifestyle perspective, this may seem reasonable, but from a biological standpoint, it is a choice that causes the body to age faster day by day. Americans approach this issue very practically. Water is not just for quenching thirst, it keeps the entire system running smoothly. When fluid intake is insufficient, blood becomes thicker, forcing the heart to work harder to pump it throughout the body. The brain receives less oxygen, leading to mental fog, reduced concentration, and slower reflexes, factors that significantly increase the risk of falls in older adults. What makes dehydration especially dangerous in seniors is that it rarely shows up as clearly as it does in younger people. Older adults feel less thirst. Their mouth may not feel particularly dry, but inside the body, the kidneys are forced to filter waste under chronically low water conditions. Toxins are not eliminated efficiently. Low-grade inflammation quietly increases, accelerating the aging of cells. In the United States, many hospital admissions among older adults are traced back to chronic dehydration rather than a single identifiable disease. A mild heat wave, a slightly saltier meal than usual, or a minor infection can cause a dehydrated body to collapse far more quickly than one that is adequately hydrated. Another often overlooked consequence is that dehydration reduces the effectiveness of medications. Older adults typically take multiple medications each day. When the body lacks water, drugs are distributed poorly, cleared more slowly, and are more likely to cause side effects, placing additional strain on the liver and kidneys. This creates a vicious cycle that many seniors never recognize. They simply feel more tired, without realizing the cause may be the glass of water they've been consistently skipping. From the American perspective, adequate hydration is not a small detail. It is a survival strategy in old age. It helps stabilize blood pressure, protects kidney function over the long term, and keeps the mind clearer during daily activities. Drinking less water may make life feel easier in the short term, but the cost is a weaker body, greater vulnerability, and faster aging. And that is a price older adults should never have to pay for inconveniences that can, in fact, be adjusted and managed. Eating alone, when meals no longer nourish the spirit. In the United States, independence is considered a core value of life. Many older adults take pride in being able to cook for themselves, clean up on their own, and sit down to eat alone without needing help from anyone. But within the field of geriatric medicine, Americans point to a less comfortable truth. Long-term solitary eating is a far more powerful life-shortening factor than most people realize. A meal is not simply the act of putting food into the body, it is both a biological and social ritual. When people eat with others, the brain becomes more engaged. Digestive hormones are released more effectively. Appetite improves. Eating slows down. The body absorbs nutrients more efficiently. In contrast, when meals are eaten in silence in front of a television or simply to get it over with, this entire process is compressed and weakened. American researchers have observed this pattern clearly among older adults who live